Welcome back to the Southern Philippines, and today we're going to be talking about the cost of living in the Philippines versus what my cost of living was in the United States. So a ton of people have been requesting this. We're going to jump right into it, and I'll give some caveats at the end of the video. But here we go, what my cost of living are, and this is part 3, by the way, of the other 2 videos. So, rent, $140 US. Electric, pay about $200 a month in electric. Water, $11 US. Internet, $55 US. Phone, that's my cell phone, $12 US. Insurance is roughly, for my scooter, is $3 a month. Food, I spend a lot here. It's $800 a month. That's including groceries. Gas, $10 a month. That's like for the stoves, propane. Fuel, transportation costs going around is roughly $50 a month. And then about $10 in landscaping. All right, so those are the costs, but they're kind of meaningless without a little bit of context. So to put it into context, the rent that I'm paying in the Philippines is for a 3-bedroom house, plus it's got a maid's quarter, but the maid's quarter really just has storage area for the people that own the house. And I'm able to get a good deal on that because the people that actually own the house are living in the United States. They only come back every couple of years to visit, and since they're gone, and with the pandemic they've been gone even longer, that it's a good deal for them because they've got somebody that can live here and take care of the house. It's a good deal for me and my family because we get low rent, but it's not going to be a permanent establishment for us. Eventually they are going to come back. So the internet that I'm getting, I'm paying for 300 megabytes a second up and down. We certainly are not getting that. We are getting somewhere between 100 and 200 on a regular basis, which is plenty to do anything that we need as far as streaming, as far as conducting business inside the United States or other countries where my companies are. So that works out really good. It's much less than I was paying in the United States, as you'll see later in this video, but it is much faster internet than I had even in the United States. So I was pleasantly surprised coming back to the Philippines and seeing that we had that. The phone that I'm paying for now, that's data only. I can receive telephone calls, I can receive text messages, but I can't actually send them on there because it's an unlimited data package. So I principally use it so that I can use data when I'm out and about in town or when I'm leaving town. And I also use it as a backup in case the power or the internet goes down here at the house, so I can continue to work as a flawlessly, and it's good to have as a backup option for that. Okay, so the food budget that I had talked about, which is $800 a month, that includes not just cooking, that includes eating out, that includes getting products that aren't necessarily normally used in the Philippines, such as dairy products and cheeses, beefs. We get steaks from the S&R when we go to Davao and bring them back. I ate a lot of seafood, so shellfish and tuna and swordfish and things, which again is very affordable compared to US prices, but again here in the Philippines would be more expensive. But the amount of money that I'm spending grocery, paper products, eating out, everything is about the same as I would in the US, so I really don't mind that. It would be a very high budget for somebody coming in. And again, I'm not just feeding me, I am feeding my family on there. So it is a bigger ticket item. The final thing that I'll kind of mention is my expenses as far as electricity goes. That's a really high electric bill for the Philippines. So relatives that I have that don't use air conditioning, they're paying less than $50 a month. I use air conditioning quite often. We also have multiple rooms that we're running fans in, so we're not just all sitting in one room with a fan running. There would be 1, 2, 3, probably 3 fans going in different rooms at pretty much all the time. during the day if we're not using air conditioning. And the air conditioning is primarily used in the master bedroom where I have my office. And so I use that so when I'm communicating, I'm working back at my businesses in the United States, or we're doing editing or things like that, that it is a cool room and that we're comfortable doing those things. So now let's talk about what my expenses were back in the United States when I was living there. And again, neither one of these expenses include business expenses that I have or licensing expenses that I have for being an attorney in the United States. This is just living expenses. This is stuff that I would pay whether I was working a job or owned businesses or not. So let's jump right into what my expenses were when I lived back in the United States. So my mortgage in the United States, which included taxes and insurance escrowed into it, was $1,850. My electric bill on average over the 12 months was about $300 a month. The water bill was about $80 a month. The internet was about $70 a month, and it was not as good an internet as I have here in the Philippines, or quite frankly anywhere else I've been in the world over the last year. My cell phone was $70 a month. My insurance for my car was $149 a month. That was for 2 vehicles. The food I was spending, we very rarely ate out, but our grocery bills, including paper products, cleaning products, etc., was about $850 a month. We ate out and probably spent about $200 a month eating out in the United States. Our gas, for natural gas, I had gas heat and I had gas for the heating the water as well in the United States, was about $200 a month on average. Obviously much cheaper in the summer, but much more expensive in the winter since that was our primary heating source. Paid $40 a month for garbage pickup because I did not live in the city limits. For my landscaping and lawn mowing, I paid $120 a month for the yard to be taken care of. And then for fuel, gasoline, getting around town, I was generally spending about $160 a month. So I was having to get roughly about 2 tanks of gas a week. So neither one of those expenses, either in the Philippines or in the United States, included business expenses or law licenses or other licenses that I had to have in the United States. Those are completely separate. It doesn't include anything that I would have to spend as far as businesses go. So that was even additional expenses when I had a brick and mortar business in the United States. But this kind of gives you an idea of what the differences are on my monthly living costs in the Philippines versus the United States. Now, I will say that in the Philippines, I live a pretty good lifestyle on the budget that I have shown you there. There's not really anything else that I want for or that I'm needing. Obviously, these budgets don't include, activities. If I were to go out to a beach somewhere, there might be entrance fees and stuff, but realistically, they'd be very minor on there. So those are the 2 different expenses and the difference between them in the United States and the Philippines. So final thing on cost of living in the Philippines. That's my budget. It's probably a high budget for many people. It may be a low budget for others, but that's what I spend on a monthly basis. So really what I want to stress is these cost of living videos that everybody wants to see from the Philippines and they request, I'm going to be just bluntly honest with you that they're pretty well worthless for you. Okay, so if you're thinking about coming here, it might give you an idea of what my budget is, but that's not necessarily going to be your lifestyle. Are you going to live in the province? Do you have children? Are you married? How many bedrooms do you need? Of course, my lifestyle is going to be much different more than likely than yours is, and somebody else's that you see is. So if you're watching 5 to 10 of these videos on cost of living, trying to get what it's like here in the last year, realistically, the best way to find out, because this is all anecdotal evidence, the best way to find out is just to get your boots on the ground in the Philippines, in the different areas that you'd like to live in, and see what the actual costs are on the ground. Because again, my food budget will shock tons of people out there who live in the Philippines as expats. They'll be like, he's crazy, he's overspending. Others will be like, yeah, that's about right. So it really depends on your lifestyle, and there's no single person that you're probably going to find online that's going to live in the same place that you are, have the exact same lifestyle you are, have the exact same number of people that you're taking care of that you are. So these are really generalized things. And the cost of living, for example, in Manila, when I did a market video on there, I had people in Manila sending me the prices that they were paying in the markets there in Manila, and they were 2, sometimes 3 times as much as what I was paying here at the local market. Now, where I'm at in the southern Philippines, this is the breadbasket. It's kind of where most of the Philippines food comes from and is shipped up to Luzon and some of the other places, so it's much more affordable here. So again, just take any of these cost of living videos that you see with a grain of salt, and kind of do your own research is the best way. So that's it. I really avoided trying to do one of these cost of living videos because they're all over the place. It's just, to me, it's silly. I never really watched them when I was doing it, but so many people want to see them. That's mine. So leave a comment below, see what you think. Tell me I'm spending too much money, I'm not spending enough money, whatever, or how you're doing it better. All right, if you like this, go ahead and subscribe so you can see more stuff like this. I won't be doing any more cost of livings here, but I will be doing other videos about the Philippines, especially the southern Philippines where I'm currently residing. And leave a like, send other people this way so that they can find it if they're looking for this kind of information. Thanks for watching.